let's Kitchener Waterloo hear you.
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Honey the podcast. Today I have my personal crushes here, and not to make them feel uncomfortable, we have Philman, we have Elle, and I will let them take it over. But before I do, I just want to say thank you for showing up always for me and being the pillars I need. That's a lot of pressure to put on you, but I take it as it is, and I appreciate that. And I want to know a little bit about both of you and your foundation, the Reseasoning Coalition, and like how being a part of it for me is like, I want to do more. I want to be more. I don't care if it pays. I don't care if it's this or that. Like, I just want to be there at all times. Every time I've interacted with both of you, it's left me fulfilled and to come back with a village. Right. So I'll let you take it over. Elle, you go first. Sure. Who are you? What's your name? What's your last name? What's your email? What's your name? Let me in.
The full government.
Be all of it.
Honey, thank you so much for having us. I'm Elle Asiedu, co-founder and executive director of the Reseasoning Coalition. We've been on this path for almost 6 years. Yeah, it'll be 6 years in August, which is crazy.
Yes.
But it's so exciting. And I sort of think of myself as a steward for the food service industry, but I think also a steward for leaders in general, just helping them understand all the different parts that leadership actually requires. And specifically in the food service space, when you talk about equity, you talk about anti-racism, you talk about anti-Black racism. Our mission as an organization is to increase the representation of Black Canadians across all levels of the food service industry in whatever that you might want that to look like. So, for folks who are food entrepreneurs, whether they are in retail or they want to get into food service, we're trying to find laneways for them. Whether you want to be an executive chef, you want to stay as a line cook, there are all these options that are available to you in food service. And so we want to make all of the career options known in food service, but then also create pathways for us to be able to advance. And a big part of that is data. A big part of that is programming, community engagement. We'll get into all of that.
Absolutely.
But no, it is a pleasure. And I just want to say it's so funny that you mentioned that we've always sort of been there and you've always felt fulfilled. It feels like it's been 3 interactions, right? Like it doesn't feel like it's been years, but I'm glad it feels significant.
It does.
It's impactful for you.
It does. It feels really authentic. And like when you both speak, like I listen. And like I said, I want to be the change I want to see. And so I want to hear a little bit from Phil as well.
Yeah, no problem. But I think Ella's left out some part. Like, you got to tell people about your heritage. Where you from? Like, come on now. I'm going to speak about my heritage. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Yeah, all right. I'll pass it back to you. Right? Jeez. All right. Because Elle's got some history.
Of course.
Both of my parents immigrated here from a small island called Barbuda. It's a sister island to Antigua. And why I start there is because Barbuda is an island that's owned in common by all Barbudans. So if you can date your lineage back to your great grandparents, you have a piece of land that you don't have to pay for, right? And this is very unique. Communal land ownership isn't nothing new for the world, but for an entire island to be owned in common by the people is very, very rare. So I grew up I was born here in Canada, and I always grew up knowing that I had a piece of paradise waiting for me.
Yeah.
Right. And that has informed me as I navigate this difficult world. I always knew there was like an escape. Right. Whereas a lot of people are like, okay, I've got this dream to have like a house and then a cottage. And, my dream was always to like do the best I can here in Canada, but ultimately go back home to Barbuda. And I think a lot of us that have immigrated here, whether it's directly or through our parents, like you have that connection back home. And to know that you're part of something bigger abroad, and everything is tied to that land. So we as Barbudans really protect that land. We are the stewards of that land, right? And I'm always thinking sustainability, right? Like, how do we sustain that for a future generation? And I think that's kind of seeped into my professional career as well, right? And this industry, this food service industry, has given so much to me. I started as a dishwasher when I was 16. And I'm still here now at 46, and I just will continue to give as much as I can to this industry in a way that I'm setting it up for future generations to whatever hardships I went through, fine, we're all going to go through them, but how do we learn from them and make the path a little bit wider for the next people coming through? So that, I think, stems from my parents, like, letting me know about Barbuda, and me going back home and experiencing it as well, seeing the land, seeing how much beauty and wealth is within just land ownership. And then when I'm in Canada now, I always think about, okay, what is valuable about this industry, right? And how do we sustain it for the next generation? And I think that's, as I look about the Reseason Coalition, why on earth we started this, that we're never going to fix all of the things within our lifetime, but we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
And I think it stems from that history of Barbuda for me, of like, knowing that the land is precious and we need to take care of it for the next generation. So I think that's what's kind of informed me and got me into the Reseason, doing all these volunteer hours.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Like, it has to come from somewhere. And I think that's where it comes from for me. Right? Yeah. But Elle's also got Caribbean and
and West African roots. And I think, the blend has been interesting with Trinidad and Ghana. But I think just similar to your idea of stewardship and sort of that familial, it's almost like a familial branding, right? Like your family's brand was go back and take care of the land, take care of the people, etc. And I think for my family, I think the branding is just try, right? Like just go for it, just go and see, right? And it's been so interesting, getting older and your parents getting older, and the story that they start to tell a little bit more about immigration, and the decisions that they would make, and to learn that my parents' also took attitudes of just try.
Yeah.
Like you think, I was reading my grandmother's gonna be 94 this year. And when she was about 82, she started to write her autobiography.
Wow.
So I was unfortunately, it's only about 6 pages long, but still there was things in there that I hadn't known before. And so she was talking about their immigration journey from Trinidad in the 60s, the late 60s, and how they went to drop off my mother, my aunt, and one of my uncles at her mother's house. And she wanted to cry and she was scared. And her mother, my great-grandmother, said, go on. It's okay. We've got this. Just go and try, right? And the legacy of go and try, I think, has given me a fearlessness when it comes to the systems change work that we're doing. I'm not afraid of us failing.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of trust in our expertise and our skills and our experience. I know we're going to do a good job. And so it'll be up to the world to decide whether or not they're going to take what we have to offer. But I think, that familial branding, that tradition of trying and going for it has had a really big effect on where we're at as an organization.
Absolutely.
That's wild. So that kind of like answered my first question of like the coalition and what, how you formatted it and what experiences you had and whatnot. What helped you get there? What are some values and some concepts and some understandings that people don't get at first? This is our baby. And we just want everybody to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But what are some of the messages people are misunderstanding along the way?
Yeah.
Whether it's those uncomfortable moments.
Yes,
Sorry, I had to
no, it's fine. I mean, for the first couple of years, we kept on getting why black.
Yeah,
that
was exactly what I was going to lead with. It's why black, why black, why black. Well, when we started on this journey, we knew that was going to be, I wouldn't say a roadblock, but it was going to come up, why black. And I think if 6 years ago, you were hearing a lot about the BIPOC, everything was BIPOC, right? Black, Indigenous, people of color. And we looked at that. We're like, oh, we could probably, if we, what we're developing, if we wanted this to sell, if we're just thinking about sales, BIPOC would have been the answer, right? Because everybody's all about, when you get into this work, people are always thinking about, oh, but what about? Oh, but what about, and especially South Asian right now is that population within food service is really large.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people are like, okay, if we're going to focus on black, what about the South Asian population, right? So we're like, okay. We knew that was ahead of us, but we're like, you cannot talk about, get to the roots of understanding racism in our industry without understanding racism as it pertains to black people. This is where it all starts.
Yeah.
If you can fix that, if you can get the understanding of this, then you've got the foundations to build it all out.
Absolutely.
But you can't brush over it. It can't be it can be positioned where it's like, okay, we're going to take care of everyone, and we're also going to just like have this little focus on. We know through our history, anytime we're trying to make a movement, Black people always get left out.
Absolutely.
And in this scenario, we're like, no, we're going to build this where Black is the focus. We have desires to take care of many groups that are deserving of this.
Yeah.
But it has to start with fixing our community first, right? And going with that approach to a world that's always talking about, but what about this and what about that? We knew this was going to be challenging, right? But we weren't in it for the sales. We're all about quality over quantity, right? Let's build something that we can believe in, build something that we know is going to make change, and then from there it'll grow. Versus trying to be like, please the masses. Right? You know, you're in the restaurant business, man. You're trying to make a menu that's like trying to please everybody.
So tired. Everybody's an executive chef.
Thank you. Thank you, right?
Like, what school did you attend? I'm sorry, what rec seal did you get today?
Yeah.
You know, but you're right.
Like, this is going to be our lane, right? We're going to take care of this, you know? This is us.
We're just going to do this.
And we're going to do it really, really good.
Yeah. So,
you know? And then maybe after that, we can open up a few other restaurants that have, you know, but it's going to start here.
Absolutely. What's so funny about, as we like think about the wine block conversation from where we are 6 years in, is that for whatever reason, they couldn't answer the question of why Black with, oh, you guys are Black. Right? Like the responsibility for some reason is on us as Black people to create something for everybody. But everybody's experience is not our experience. Like, this is the Black experience.
Right?
The first research report that we put out in 2021 was about the Black experience in food service.
Never been experienced before. Nobody has ever done that.
No.
Focused on our people. Nobody.
So how are we supposed to comment? Respectfully, how are we supposed to comment on the experiences of people of color who are not Black if we don't have that identity? So it's a bar that is raised, that is all of a sudden required of Black people to be able to meet, but it's not required for other groups to be able to meet. Absolutely. And by no means are we saying this to discount the experiences of racism and with racism for other groups. Because we understand that racism is something that a lot of people are faced with because of the roots of colonialism, right? If we want to take it all the way back. But unfortunately, anti-Blackness is global. And so you can be anti-Black even if you are a person of color. So then if we're taking a BIPOC lens, how do we solve that? Right? You know? So now as you talk through it, and I think, you know, you're asking about what are the questions that we get. We get surface level questions that either people are so uncomfortable about, they just need to ask a question. Like, they need to get it out. But once you talk through it, it's not a logic puzzle because there's no logic to it. You sort of have a knee-jerk reaction to say no because you've been raised in racism or you've been socialized in anti-Blackness and you don't even realize it. Or you have a knee-jerk reaction to say no because you're worried about being called racist. Or you have a knee-jerk reaction to say no because you think, well, if we're supporting Black, then we're going to get called out for only supporting one group and then we won't be able to do anything else. And unpacking all that is obviously key to our e-learning program. But I think it's understanding that being non-racist, it doesn't require a sociology degree. You don't have to go to school for this. But because we've all been socialized in a society that is based on colonialism, that is based on merits, and these sorts of these sorts of hurdles. No, it's okay. It's nice background noise.
Power of editing, you're fine. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Because we're sort of raised in a society that has relegated us to certain areas or certain industries or just certain ways that we think about ourselves. We don't even actually realize what we're up against. And at the same time, we don't understand how easy it is to correct all of this.
Absolutely.
It's a mindset. So it's work that has been difficult. These questions have been, I won't even say difficult. It's been tiring.
Yeah.
Like, it's been tiring to answer the same questions over and over and have it written in places, right? When people don't want to do the research. They want you to tell them.
Please tell me yes. I don't want to go do the actual work for myself. Give me the cheat sheet.
Yes, exactly. But you know what? I think it's strengthened us as individuals and obviously as leaders as well, where we now can ask those questions and also turn it back over to folks and say, well, why do you think?
Yeah. And I think going in, knowing it was going to be difficult, knowing it was going to be challenging, just prepared us for the road ahead.
Yeah.
You know, and the mindset that we would need to persevere. Because here we are 6 years later. We're really proud of what we've built.
Yeah.
Right. And we've seen other people try, but like it is not easy to build these relationships.
Yeah.
Like they take years, right? To get to the point where you can be like, okay, finally we can get you enrolled and get you through this course.
If I
Years
may,
to get there,
if I may, some of the organizations that Phil just alluded to that have fallen by the wayside or are not as effective or successful as they were in 2020 are the ones that were focused on BIPOC. And I think there's something to be said, even from a pure marketing lens, about knowing your audience and knowing your target. And if you, as you say, trying to create a menu for everybody, you're not going to create a menu for anybody. And so I think that's an interesting aside that sticking in the black lane has gotten us to a success exit.
Absolutely. Can you give me a recent example of like where you saw like a success moment that like measure what success looks like for you, where success look like you?
Yeah.
Can you give me an example if you have an example?
I mean, all of 2025.
Yeah.
2025 was a great year for the VCs Coalition. Yeah. And not even in terms of monetary value, which I think most people think about. It was just about what we were able to execute. 2025 was the completion of our e-learning program. These are my success metrics. Completion of our e-learning program, enrolling of students in our e-learning program. We completed our second or third research report, another national research report, funded by a federal body focused on the youth experience in food service. And in addition to the report, we also created a toolkit that almost sort of fills certain gaps that restaurant owners might feel by not having HR teams. So giving them the tools to be able to be places that youth want to work. And even outside of youth, people of equity denied identities, or just people in general who want to work in a place that values equity, that thinks about inclusion. So just the creation of all of those tools and the research, I'm a nerd, so I love. Yeah. I think those are my success metrics for 2025.
What about you, Chuck?
Okay. Mine are the great metrics, by the way. Yeah. All right. Huge. I don't even have to touch those. Elle already mentioned those.
Check.
I'm going to just hone in on one, and that's the Culinary Federation. All right. I remember talking to Elle when we were building this course, right? And I said, if we can figure out the Culinary Federation, we can figure out any organization on the planet.
Yeah.
This is, and you have to edit this out. I've told that this is the old white boys club. They know that. We've talked about it, right? On the surface, that's what it looks like. We know as you dig deeper into the chapters around the Culinary Federation, you see lots of diversity. But when it comes to these national gatherings, you can insert the picture of the federation. Like they do this annual picture every year where everybody that's attending these conferences, we go outside in our chef tax, take a picture. You'll see the diversity, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, there is not much in these, right? But we know the potential of the Culinary Federation is huge because they influence all of Canada, right? So if we can figure this one out, right, we can crack any organization, okay? To get to this point where we have how many graduates? Eight graduates? 10 graduates come out of our equity and empowerment program. Yeah. To get here took, I would say, at least 4 years of probably even more, right? From the time we started the reseasoning and we identified our partners, we're like, this is one of them, right? If we can get these guys along, right, and figure out how to crack the old white boys club.
And that conference, right?
I remember I was on stage with a bunch of other people that were, talking about diversity and equity and had their own approaches to it. And when we came off stage, or even when we were on stage, there was a lot of people that just couldn't understand what we were talking about, right? We were just talking about diversity in the industry and how we need to do better. But I think the way it came across, a lot of people thought we were attacking like the federation. And we're like, no, we're showing that this federation has potential and needs to be able to see their blind spots so that we can all grow, right? And to go from that kind of, I wouldn't say negative introduction, but like it wasn't the greatest conversation to have at the conference. Like it didn't give a lot of members complained right? And said that we don't want to like it just didn't come across right.
Yeah.
So we learned from that, and we didn't stop. Like a lot of the other organizations that were with us on, they had their own agendas. My agenda with the Culinary Federation is to always keep pushing this, because I've been a member of this federation for like years, right? I know the potential. You just got to keep at it.
Yeah.
Right. So we stayed with it.
Yeah.
And last year we attended the conference in where was it, Moncton and New Brunswick. So Elle and I, we went on stage and we introduced, because now we had the program ready, right? We're like, we introduced it to the Culinary Federation. I'm like, look, we will offer this program to all of you, presidents, vice presidents, every chapter. You can go through this course for free of charge. All right. We built it, and we brought the horse to the water. So there it is. You can drink.
Yeah.
You don't even have to pay.
Exactly. We got you.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right. And to now, in 2026, to have our first graduates, right, are members of the Culinary Federation, right? To me, that is a measure of success.
Yeah.
Of not a perseverance, never giving up.
Yeah.
Right. On strategy, right? Figuring out how to crack certain, difficult doors that are being closed, how to open them up, right? How to build trust, right? And here we are in 2026, and couldn't be more proud of the progress we've made with the Culinary Federation and where this federation can go now that they have leadership that is trained in anti-Black racism. It's huge. It's huge, man. I smile. I can see the blueprint is here now. Right? Like we can take this blueprint and go to any organization. Like, okay, it's going to take time, right? So there's a formula here, but it really starts with just patience, and not rushing, right? And being really intentful and thorough. And man, we've got a breakout session later on today where members that have taken the course are going to tell other members about it. And I can't wait for that, right? Because then they can really share on what they've learned and how they're going to implement that in their day-to-day. So to me, I know it's just one example.
No, that's
but
perfect.
It's a big one.
That's perfect.
It's a big one.
Yeah. When you hear collaboration and community, what do you think?
Oh, people. You gotta get people involved. And you need to talk to the people that you want to collaborate with and you want to be in community with. I think organizations, nonprofit, private, etc., have a habit of trying to create solutions without involving the affected parties, and then the solutions don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so we need people. We need people involved. Yeah, speaking, listening, acting.
Huge.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
Collaboration.
When I think of collaboration community, I think of the Black Experience Pavilion at the RC show. It's a great example of how we bring community and that collaborative spirit all into one activation, right? So the Black Experience Pavilion at the RC show. So for those that don't know, Restaurants Canada, actually you did a podcast on this. So if y'all don't know, check out Henny's podcast on the Restaurants Canada show. No, you were there, right?
Spontaneous. Yeah. Like I hold my phone.
Yeah. I don't know if we made it into the podcast. So.
No. I was just like,
you were just doing
we went on our own. We're just like, let's just take the day to like just observe humans. Yeah, you did. But it's okay though. I was like, I'm off today. I'm just gonna go. Yeah. And I do that a lot. Like I'm spontaneous. I'm like something cool's happening. Yeah. I need to be a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's how we approach it too. It's like, look, here's this trade show that brings the whole industry together.
Everyone,
right? If there's ever a spot where we need to be present, right? And the funny thing, we're selling this. Our product is the e-learning program. But it was never really when we designed this pavilion, the e-learning program wasn't like the star of the pavilion.
Yeah.
Right? The star of the pavilion was all our
cowbells.
And the spin wheel, of course, right? Elle loves her games, making noise. It's beautiful, right? Like we wanted to show up and just be loud. And the cowbell's part of that. Yeah. But like the people are what make that experience, right? And like being able to connect to community. Young Black entrepreneurs that have these amazing products, right? And to be able to display that on the biggest stage, I mean, that was a dream that we had for many, many years, and to see it come together to me is when you say collaboration community, that is one thing that just pops into my mind. Black experience movement.
And also older Black entrepreneurs. Like I want to shout out the people who are choosing second career.
Yes. I just say young, you're right.
Even whether their first career was in food service, people who are now thinking about food service and chasing it as a passion project. Yeah. It's just the longevity of creativity. And they needs to have a little bit more conversation around it. Yeah. Because you can do anything at any.
Right.
But do you have the desire to do so? And I think the pavilion creates an opportunity to say, if you have a desire, come here and let's put you on stage.
And it inspires us. I don't know if we've ever had that conversation of how it inspires us.
I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. But it definitely, when you see it come together, I think we've had conversation about the energy that we feel afterwards, right? Like, it just, but I think it goes deeper into the inspiration when you collaborate with your community and you get to see, the brilliance of all of the things that you wouldn't be able to see unless you brought together, right? Absolutely. And that is when it's like really powerful, right? And you're like, okay, all these volunteer hours, right? They start to like feel more meaningful when you engage with community, right? Because one thing to like be working on these projects, writing grants and like, having these meetings and whatnot. It's another thing when you like, boom, when you create something, you bring it and you see it come together and it's all your community, right? And then you see them like how much it impacts what they're trying to do, right? And yeah, I think there's something to be said about just like Black collaboration. There's something to be said about that because sometimes we're all fighting for the same things and we're not working together. And I think the pavilion is a great example of what can happen when we all kind of strive towards the same goal of like just access to this industry. What does that look like? We all kind of come together to make that happen. So yeah, collaboration community, that's what came to mind.
Absolutely. That's huge.
That's a big one.
Wow. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna throw this out there, but it resonates there.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking forward, like 5-10 years from now, what does the future look like? What does the future look like in your eyes?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be
What immediately comes to mind is our reseasoning seal of approval, which you've been talking about and trying to work on basically since 2020, since you began. And I used to say that it would be essentially a Michelin star for equity. So how do we reward operators, executive chefs, general managers who are putting equity into practice and creating safe places for Black folks to dine, who are not going to get to pay before the meal comes, right? Who are also creating safe spaces for Black employees, but then at the same time are also demonstrating themselves to be just great brands to do business with, whether it's about supply diversity, whether it's about retention, longevity of your employees, etc. And so the e-learning program, Equity and Empowerment in Food Service, was the first step to get to the certification. So ideally, we want these major organizations, restaurants, large and small as well, to complete the e-learning program and then apply for the certifications, which is inclusive of an assessment. We go into the restaurant, we do an audit, we figure out, okay, how has equity and anti-Black racism, or has equity been applied? Is anti-racism prevalent in this organization? Let's speak with your Black staff. Let's speak with some of your clients, etc. So we can put that seal, that sticker on the front door and say, this is a reseasoned organization. This is a reseasoned restaurant.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping that will happen before the next 5 years. I'm hoping it's one or two. But we are really trying to build sort of like a groundswell with graduates of the e-learning program, so that once you graduate, you can apply for the certification. And for me, it's also a mark of your leadership capability. If you're able to graduate from our program and you're putting it into practice, you are what a modern leader is. And so it's a business stamp of approval, but it's also an individual stamp of approval. And I'm hoping that in doing so, we're creating a new standard. We want to see as many businesses across Canada with a reseasoning seal of approval on their door, on their website. So that's my my next goal.
Absolutely. We're aligned on that one. That's always been our vision. Like it's just been, how do we create a new standard, as I was saying, but like a lot of the Michelin awards right now are really based on the quality of service and food, right? And we just see it beyond that. I think those are important metrics for sure, but like retention of your staff, right? And that's right? The more you can retain your staff, the better you are equipped to do these like really intricate things. So, so that's a huge one for us. And I think now the course is like available and live. I think it's like over the next 5 years, is how many people can we get through it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and we want this to be right now. A lot of our students, I mean, they're actually really lucky because the Culinary Federation that went through the course, they were all across Canada, right? And I think, but you know, a majority of restaurants are in Ontario, right? That's the largest concentration. But I think in the future, if we look 10 years from now, I could see the Reseasoning Coalition being a brand that's known across Canada. And when you think about equity, when you think about fairness, when you think about, you know, how do I create the greatest team? How do I make sure everybody's, you know, feeling like they can spread their wings as soon as they start? How do I ensure that, you know, there's a clear path to progression in my establishment? I hope when people think about that, it's like, oh, you know, if you don't have the answer within your organization, I know exactly who to turn to. It's the Reseasoning Coalition, right? And we have, you know, a staff that's like full time as well, right? Like right now, it's like it's you're looking at the staff, right? Like it's like staff and contractors are what we're doing right now, and it's working. But I think, you know, as we try to sustain the organization for years beyond this, it's, you know, we're going to have a payroll that has, you know, and dedicated staff, right? Like that's a huge goal for the next, you know, 5 to 10. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's huge for me to like look forward to, for sure. And who knows? Might have kids one day and they're going to join.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're definitely going to recruit you for something.
Right. Yeah.
The future looks bright. The future looks bright. Okay. This is kind of like what I was kind of thinking earlier. Like when you initially, I'll start with you. Yeah. When you initially started, like, did you feel like you didn't have these moments where like you can lean on folks to help change your future? Like, what did that look like for you? Like, how did you get those feelings to be like, I want to do better and be better? Because like, I know folks out there that are just standing still that could just do more. What made you feel inspired at this moment?
It's such a great question. It's a very deep question.
Hard to get to, but I got there.
No, I mean, that's a question you could even just throw out there and just latch on and fly with you.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it may be seen as a cop-out, but I feel like I've always been this type of person.
Yeah.
So I think previously when I've sort of introduced myself, I always say that in some way, shape, or form, I've been involved in Black excellence. Like whether it was creating an Afro-Caribbean club in high school or whether it was creating a Black Student Leaders Association university. Like I've always been focused on bringing Black people together and then trying to find ways to put folks on, put people on stage, tell other people about what we were doing. And as we were talking about the family tradition, I think that's been instilled in me of just go for it. And so for the folks who are standing still, I think it would be a question of what is keeping you at stop. Like and for a lot of people, it's what they're afraid of. And so maybe that would be the follow-up is what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And who can you find to help sort of vanquish that fear a little bit? And yet at the same time, I feel like a lot of this is often in folks in your head. Like you're making the problem bigger than it needs to be or than it may actually be. I mean, we're focused on systems change work. We could focus on problems all day and not do anything.
Absolutely.
But is there one small step that you could take today that would make you feel good? It doesn't necessarily have to take, it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge step. It doesn't have to be world changing. But if it could make you feel good or joyful, then you're on the right track. That would sort of be the advice that I would give. I feel like having a co-founder who has a similar temperament, has similar passions about the industry definitely makes it easier to go back and forth with ideas and dilemmas. But not everybody is going to find a co-founder or have a co-founder. So be your own co-founder and take a small step, figure out what you're afraid of, and then try. Yeah.
Same question for me, I guess. All good. I mean, I think
about feeling comfortable.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I mean, I spoke about my family history and that, you know, legacy of sustainability. So that's always been in me, right? And but I think for me, what really propelled the Reseasoning Coalition, like what the fire that really started for me was that, you know, that moment that we all saw the ultimate sacrifice of George Floyd, right? And you saw it. So I grew up in the era of the Rodney King, right? And that video footage was kind of blurry, but we all thought that those police were going to get it, and they didn't get it, right? Like they all kind of walked away. And this time it's like you got high definition footage, right? And I've only watched the video once, don't need to watch it again, but it stays with me because it's like that ultimate sacrifice, right? And the world was able to see it. I'm like, well, if, at that point we were all like, I remember just being so frustrated that I couldn't go to work the next day. And I called my manager and she got it, right? Because she understood, right? She's just like, I get it, right? But how many people didn't have that position to call their manager and be like, and get that, that affirmation that, yeah, we got you. We know you need some time, right? So I thought about all those people, right? And all those people that need that support, right? And I'm like, okay. And I know this is cliche, but I'm either part of the solution or a part of the problem. Like I can't really sit in the middle and do nothing at a time when, I thought at that point in my career, I had some power. Like I was a corporate chef. I was within a company that had lots of resources. And I'm like, ooh, what am I doing? Right. If there's anything at this point, after watching that video, if I can do something, I need to do it now. So it didn't come right away, but it took some time. And this is another thing that I think, sometimes we put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves because time is something that can only be afforded to you if you're at a certain position in life you can dream. Dreaming is a privilege, right? Like if you're just struggling to get, food on the plate and, pick the kids up from here and, you're a single parent, whatever it may be, you don't have time to dream, and I looked at the position I was in, in a multi-generational home. I've got grandma, I've got, my wife, I've got, amazing support around me. I'm like, I can dream a bit, right? Let me dream. And I don't know, I feel like we came together by like just
agreed.
Right? Like there was something divine just like brought us together and but you asked me what that moment was, and for me it was that, right? Just watching that video. Like I said, I only had to watch it once. But I know some people that, still like we've had conversations with people and they, because everybody like that summer of social justice. Many people that started movements started it because of that.
Absolutely.
And some people can't even remember the name of that person.
Absolutely.
We've had these conversations in the room with people and they're like, oh yeah, and that thing that happened and that person. And I'm like, wow, and this is why we are so focused on the Black experience. And like, because we, as Black people, will never forget that. But there's some people now that forget it, right? And just like, oh yeah, that thing that happened, yeah. It's a big moment, right? And that's what, that changed my life. And I feel like this movement that we've started, it's it's because of that. Like for me, right? And I can always look back at that and be like, okay, I did something after seeing that. It didn't just I didn't just watch it and just be like, all right, on to the next thing. It stuck with me, and then I was able to act on it. So
absolutely, that's huge. Wow, I didn't expect that one. Thank you so much for
no worries.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the part when I like to ask a random question in the sense of I'll start with you just because maybe I'll rephrase it for you after.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could be, I'm going from a chef perspective.
Sure.
If you could be any ingredient in the kitchen, what would you be?
Okay. It's gonna okay.
Yeah, we went from
yeah. No.
Okay, go for something to something so small, right?
Yeah. No, it's a great question. It's a great question. Yeah. Okay. One of my favorite ingredients is sun-dried tomatoes.
Yes.
And what I love about sun-dried tomatoes is the way you can so I guess my answer would be a tomato, right? Because a tomato has so much potential, right? It's a fruit. It's got, you can just slice it and it could be a star within a build, or you could, it could be diced and part of a crazy salsa. You can create a sauce with it. But when it's sun dried, something happens to it that's just like. But to do it, there's a certain amount of cure that goes into sun drying with tomato.
Absolutely.
If you don't do it the right way, and you don't select the right tomato, that that finished product will be really leathery.
Yeah.
And it's like, and some people don't like sun dried tomatoes for that reason, right? Because of that texture. But if you do it right, it's beautiful. But as I think about it more, I think salt is the one. Yeah,
Salt. I knew it.
As I think about it more, because there's just there's the reason. Okay, so as I look back to Barbuda, right?
Me too.
Right? I guess so. But salt for me is like, because in Barbuda we have a salt pond, and every as the pond dries up, you can harvest the salts. The salt is so amazing. I come back with anytime I go to Barbuda, I'm bringing lots of stuff for people. And don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Your birthday's coming up. So don't worry, I got you. You go get salt. But I think salt, for one, has, if you use it in the right way, right, it enhances what you're eating. If you use too much of it, it destroys. Right. So to me, salt, if I was to be one ingredient, it's that, because I can either make or break you, right? Absolutely. And it all depends on the skill of who's using me, right? Absolutely. Right? So, yeah.
Definitely shifting, but I went that way. I was also expecting you were gonna say salt. Because one of the funny things that Phil likes to say is as he moves up in the industry, there's a whole lot of salt and not a lot of pepper. So I was thinking that was gonna come in, but if I may respond to the same question, of course, I would be the pepper.
You'd be the pepper.
Absolutely.
You'd be the kick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Existing to give a kick, and whether it's a Scotch bonnet, whether it's Chantilly, it's whatever. It's I'm forcing you to like sit up and wake up, and oh my god, there's something happening here.
There's something in here. You have to do the research to get to it. Like, what is that?
Yes. Exactly.
Thank you for joining in on that. But I was gonna definitely take a different shift. Sure. If you could be one pillar in the community, like whether it be I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna be in these rooms. What kind of rooms would you immerse yourself in? Like, if you had to choose. Now, right now, you're forcing yourself to open doors and get in those windows. But if you were 20 years from now, I'm here, arrived, what kind of rooms would you choose to be a part of?
Yeah. I mean, if I want to continue on the path that I'm on, I have to be in policy rooms. At the end of the day, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not politics, right? It's the bureaucrats. Mm-hmm. Creating the policy that is actually going to create the system change that we're looking for. And I think we're laying a good foundation by being so focused on research, because at the end of the day, that's how those decisions are being made. And to do race-based research allows us to zoom into the nuances of specific experiences. But I think I would have to be, and I would welcome being a pillar in policy. Because change has to happen. This is Phil said, he decided to do something when he saw the video and connecting with him, and then bringing his brand together with the Reseason Coalition and other organizations to create the Reseason Coalition. I have to do the same thing. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. And keep it going. Yeah.
Keep it going. That's what I hear. Keep it going. Mm-hmm. As you can see, we're in a public space. So we don't really have the opportunity to ask people to pause, but it's great. I love these folks.
It's good. Yeah.
I get different vibes as people walk by. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah. That brings me to my next question. Anybody can pick this up. You can both answer it.
Sure.
If you could give some advice to the younger you or someone wanting to be like you, what advice would you give? Or if you could leave a message in a bottle, what would you leave? What would you give?
For my younger, so message for myself, or for anybody,
somebody that wants to be like Philman.
Got you.
What would you say to them, or what would you show them, or what would you leave behind for them?
Yeah.
And you can take it in any perspective you see it as, right?
Yeah. It's a great question. The only thing I can think of at the moment, right, is and I say this as a father, watching my 12-year-old and my 9-year-old navigate through life. Everything comes at them with, the advent of social media and whatnot. Things come at them really fast, and they absorb things in a very edited way, where you can see somebody's whole life work within like 30 seconds, right? And I watch my sons play sports, and they'll, like, for example, the other day my son was pitching his second baseball game, and the coach brought him in to close the game. They were up by 6 runs. Okay. And they ended up losing the game, and he was the pitcher. Right. And after the game, he was so distraught. He was so angry with himself. And my wife and I were like, okay, sit in it for a bit. Right. Sit in this moment for a bit, but you need to move on. Right. Like, we fail, right? Failure is important, but you got to learn from failure. Right. And so the message I would leave behind are two things. Number one, right? It takes countless hours to perfect anything. Right. And you need to give yourself grace, and you need to be patient with yourself as you're learning and mastering your craft. And you never really truly master your craft. Right. You just try to always get better at it. But you need patience, and you're not going to get it right away. The second piece along that journey is you've got to be okay to fail. You have to fail. If you don't fail, you're not trying hard enough, right? You're not pushing yourself hard enough, man. You got to fail. But within the failure, you have to have enough composure and enough, like, and I think it comes with experience. I talk about my kids, right? But they're young. As you get older, you're going to be able to take failure a little bit more and see through it a bit and see the learnings in it. Absolutely. Right away. Like, some people, it can happen like immediately. Like, Kobe Bryant was a perfect example of somebody that can fail and within the moment figure out the next thing he needs to do. Right. Like, so the next play, he's getting better. But some people, it takes time, right? You have to sleep on it and figure it out. But yes, patience and being okay to fail and learning from your failures are the ones I would leave behind.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Those are great messages.
Yeah.
And I think even similar to that, for folks who are thinking about doing anything that feels meaningful to them, I would say try and chase the joy. I feel like joy is an underrated emotion as a sense of direction. I think there's a lot to be said for doing something, thinking about an idea, working on a project that brings you joy. And I'm not talking about, as well, like a cheap high from eating candy or like having a slice of cake or having a fantastic meal. What is sparking joy in such a way that when you fail, you're seeing it as a growth moment?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those sorts of tasks, those sorts of projects are your life purpose, like waving and saying, hey, you're actually supposed to be on this path.
Yeah.
And so when you get to this path, then things are not necessarily going to be easy, but they're going to be fulfilling, even if they're challenging. And I'm at a point where I'm on my path, whereby even if we're not getting the phone calls, we're not getting the grants, we're not getting the conversation that we're looking for, we're not moving needles with certain organizations, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that solace allows me to dream big, and it allows me to keep going, because I started by following joy, by working on research report, by putting, marketing materials of the Black Experience Pavilion together. And it sustained you. So if you're able to look for the thing that makes you joyful, and there may be many things. I've had many careers as an entrepreneur prior to starting the Receiving Coalition, and each one is driven by joy. Take the pressure off of it. Don't say that you're starting a new business. Say that you're just working on a project or you have a really cool idea. But I truly believe that if you can follow joy for as far as possible, you're going to get to what you want eventually.
Wow.
Whether that's a house, a car, $1 million, like that is your life purpose saying, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
We need you to shift to the left so we can take you where you're supposed to go.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to ask you that question.
Yeah.
No, I want you to also, like, kind of answer that. Like, if you could tell yourself something when you were growing up, what would be, or someone like you right now, what would you give them?
It would be that.
The joy.
Yeah.
So
follow the joy.
That's awesome.
Look
That's
for it and
awesome.
follow it.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And I don't think that as humans, we actually need anything more than that. Again, we're not saying work until you're depleted.
No.
Work until go broke chasing the startup energy. Joy is a very clear feeling.
Yeah.
If you are willing to look for it. Joy is this voice in the back of your head that says, turn left, go speak to this person, invite Honey to be on an article series about Black leadership, right? And then everything starts to fall into place.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't want this to end ever. Like, this has been so magical for me, and I know I'm cheesy like that, and I appreciate that. I heard a lot of messages today. I heard a lot of motivation today. I heard a lot of solution making. I heard do something uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like, I appreciate both of you coming out. Actually, I came to you, but whatever.
No.
It's obviously too.
Yeah.
It all worked out. I was willing to come. Whether we filmed in a park bench, like I was cool at all. And so that's what makes this relationship great for me. Like I know it's been a few interactions, but every time it just gets better and better.
Yeah.
And like I said, anything you ever want me to do, I'm here. If you want me to plaster a bunch of stuff in there, I'll put posters up. Anything, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Well, one thing comes to mind. So we're here in Kitchener.
Yeah.
You're working this evening.
Yeah.
How far is the restaurant from here?
It's not too far. Are you coming through?
Oh, I think you might have to.
Oh,
see you at work.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a German schnitzel dinner tonight. That's on the,
that might
Oktoberfest. We've got an Oktoberfest.
Something very traditional to this city.
It is, right?
And,
yeah.
Kind of like.
Yeah. But we don't get out here much.
Honestly,
so I'd say if we can get out to the restaurant tonight.
Honestly, if you're open to it all, we do have a bomb bleed burger on today, burger feature. So if you're down, come through. Yeah. There's quite a few dishes I'd love for you to try.
Sweet. Do you guys have a patio?
There is somewhat of an extension. It's like a terrace, but they open up the windows and they set up like
that's what it is.
Honestly, if you're in town, in Cambridge, it's about, I'd say, like 20 minutes away from here.
Okay.
If you are down, come through.
Should I make a reservation?
If you want.
Yeah.
Just shoot me a message.
All right. Yeah. Just put us down.
Whatever time you're thinking. Yeah. Anything. That'd be wild.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. That's so exciting. And I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate all the knowledge. I appreciate all the empowerment. Phil, Elle.
Yes. Honey.
Yeah. Keep doing you, man. Like, you are like, the world needs more of you, man.
Yes.
Right? So just, your leadership, your fearlessness.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Being willing to like go on big stages, even though that's not you, like you still went on, hired her and did your thing on stage with panelists. Like,
which can I just say, that is you. Because the opportunity came to you and you said yes.
Yeah. Right. But she was uncomfortable, right? Which is great, right?
It's a year of doing the uncomfortable. Yeah. From now on, that's all I'm about, Yeah. And I appreciate that. And shout out to Hire Her. Shout out to all the folks I met and how I left there. And it was super cool. Like you came in, you got to meet some folks. Yeah. You got to work on your resume. You got to do headshots. And then also, if you were uncomfortable, you got to come up and answer questions, a little bit of public speaking. So it was it was a bunch of collective things that just made the superhuman. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Elle, Phil. They were here. It's Honey, the podcast. Thank you again. Appreciate you.
Thank you.